Lack of funding in the state budget, forcing two facilities for homeless veterans to close, including one in Green Bay. The Veterans Housing and Recovery Program, offering temporary housing, training, and other supportive services to veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. The facilities in Chippewa Falls and Green Bay are set to close by September 30th. A third facility located in Union Grove will remain open. Starting today, applications for the two closing facilities will stop being reviewed. Those living there will be offered alternative placement options. There are currently 16 residents in the Green Bay area and 23 in Chippewa Falls.
Some of them are disappointed. Some of them are nervous from what I heard. We do know that a couple of the residents of Green Bay have already decided that they're going to take us up on our offer to move to Union Grove.
Well, Governor Evers did include $1.9 million for the program in his proposed budget this year. That funding was cut by Republicans as they worked to put together their version, which was also subject to compromise. A Wisconsin lawsuit hopes to